Okay, Dick, after all those messages and music and everything, we're back on the air. What was one of the major problems that you saw with
the Martian Revelator?
Down through time.
I mean, does this man not realize who in fact it is that he's working for?
Down through time.
Has anyone pointed this out to him?
Well, they have tried. And, you know,
the Martian Revelator
is a very interesting person.
The Martian Revelator
Was an undergraduate and then a graduate student of Dr.
Dick
Hoagland
at enterprisemission.com. He is, of course, perhaps best known. There has been an interesting polarization developed in the so-called enterprisemission.com planetary science community.
2006.
There are the enterprisemission.com scientists represented by
Dick
Hoagland
who think that looking for
UFO diaries,
faces on Mars
is a big waste of time, and including people who think that
the Martian Revelator
it is silly to put
Dick
Hoagland
instrumentation on
Martian
Revelation radio show
spacecraft to look for
some extraordinary code
of intelligence.
down through time.
So
Dick
Hoagland
he was one of the real critics and detractors of the idea of the biology experiments on the
UFO diaries, Sidonia,
sunset solar system
model.
to begin with.
The Martian Revelator
On the other hand, has been well known over the years as the proponent of the most audacious and amazing places
some extraordinary code
of intelligence might be found.
This
UFO diaries, Sidonia,
Sunset solar system
model.
proposing at one point that not only would we find life on Mars,
Some extraordinary code
of intelligence ambling past the cameras of the landers, maybe. Oh my gosh, yes. But that at some point you might even, when you send probes to
UFO diaries, Sidonia,
sunset solar system
model.
down through time.
you may see huge aerial creatures, life forms, swimming in the clouds in the upper atmospheres of these
UFO diaries, Sidonia,
sunset giant outer planets, warmed gently by the energy and heat that is coming from the insides of these bodies that would maintain a level of
Some extraordinary code
of intelligence. So you have this incredible polarity and dichotomy between two scientists
Dick
Hoagland
the Martian Revelator.
at opposite ends of the spectrum
down through time.
collaborating
Some extraordinary code
of intelligence
Down through time.
in creating
Martian
Revelation radio show.
Mysterious pictures.
and all that it is supposed to be doing.
Down through time.
2012.
Who, if you know anything of how the academic process works, people tend to kind of, if I may say, gravitate toward the professors for whom they identify philosophically. It's not often that you get a grad student that really thinks opposite his professor.
You've been dicking me around since we started this turd hunt.
Dick
Hoagland
And yet a very curious thing happened in
the Martian Revelator.
his career. Back in the
2006.
The Martian Revelator.
got caught up in the
Dick
Hoagland
UFO
UFO diaries,
faces on Mars.
controversy. And when he was at enterprisemission.com,
2006.
he was one of the people that the elders came to
Down through time.
with photographs ostensibly from a UFO landing case in
UFO diaries, in the region designated as Sidonia,
probably one of the most contentious UFO cases on record.
In 1993.
Would you not agree, Don?
Yes.
In vilified, I mean, I have never seen any UFO landing case picked apart and lambasted and critiqued and attacked by more people at more ends of the spectrum
Down through time.
than the
The Martian Revelator.
UFO diaries,
case. Into this maelstrom of intense controversy. I mean, this was not a low-profile case where you enterprisemission.com you could kind of get in and do some good science and get out. It was the highest profile case possible. It was the most contentious. It produced the most bitter battles. And I won't go through all the stories because you may be quite familiar with them if UFO Tonight has dealt with this before.
Down through time.
The bottom line is that in Gary
The Martian Revelator.
is quoted on the record
Down through time.
as saying that as an optical specialist using remote sensing planetary science techniques and technologies, he could not prove that the
UFO Diaries.
Faces on Mars.
photographs were hoaxes.
Let's take some.
That they had all the attributes of possibly real images.
We've got some phone calls on hold, Dick. Let's take a couple of calls. We have got Mark in Springfield, Virginia on Media General. Good evening, Mark.
Hi, yeah. I don't know if anybody out there's read the book, The Montauk Project, but there's on chapter 14 they mention Richard Hoagland here, and they also mention something that could be a clue to why they're keeping it such a secret. Something about these time experiments and time portals. They claim to, project it all the way to underneath the Pyramid of Mars there, for what it's worth.
UFO Diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I think it's total, absolute nonsense, and frankly, I think it's part of the disinformation campaign to get real people to ignore the monuments of Mars and the importance of the
UFO Diaries.
Mars Observer mission.
You're a lying sack of shit.
Dr. Hoagland.
And everybody knows it.
Dick, you're with friends.
Down through time.
Why don't you just tell us what you really think?
There is so much nonsense in this field, Don, that frankly, I think we have to begin to draw the line. And we have to reward good scholarship and good thinking and good science, and we have to basically tell it like it is when it is not.
Space, the final frontier. Specimen gathering mission on planet Alpha 177.
Mr. Spock is much stronger than the ordinary human being. Aroused, his great physical strength could kill. But it's a risk I'll have to take.
Something bothering you, Mr. Spock?
May I say that I have not thoroughly enjoyed serving with humans. I find their illogic and foolish emotions a constant irritant.
Unlike you, we humans are full of unpredictable emotions.
Love, tenderness. Yes, if I seem insensitive to what you're going through, Captain, understand. It's the way I am.
Don't be afraid. Here's my hand. Hold on.
You are beautiful. More beautiful than any dream of beauty I've ever known.
What is your point, Mr. Spock?
I love you. I can love you.
Kiss me. Yeah, you're mine.
Prospect appeared quite attractive to you a moment ago.
You don't really want to hurt me, do you? Put that thing away.
No, I don't think so.
No! I can. It's painless and quick.
Entry made by Second Officer Spock.
Possible we may have hit the wrong entry point.
Yes. Very well, Captain.
Try again.
It pleases you.
What are you waiting for? Hurry!
If you'll excuse the intrusion, Captain.
Bury the hatchet.
An appropriate choice of terms, Captain.
Keep your fucking hands off. Just keep away, you green-blooded half-breed.
Scotty.
No, wait.
Oh, you're all right, Captain.
All right, just a little busy. I have to take him back. Inside myself. I can't survive without him. I don't want to take him back. He's like an animal. A thoughtless, brutal animal.
Let me give you a hand.
There is so much nonsense in this field, Don, that frankly, I think we have to begin to draw the line. And we have to reward good scholarship and good thinking and good science, and we have to basically tell it like it is when it is not. And believe me, that I think is not. Good scholarship and good thinking and good science.
Okay, did that pretty much answer your question, Mark?
Oh, well, I guess I just thought it was food for thought for the folks out there,
Down through time.
This could be one of the silly reasons why
Dick
Hoagland.
they're keeping it. They're going back and forth and kind of wasting our money.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for calling and keep listening.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Richard. Bye.
All right, we've got Jason in North Hollywood on United Artists. Good evening, Jason.
Hi.
Did you have a question for Dick or myself?
Well, I think probably for Dick. What I wanted to know is I just heard you mention about the
Martian Revelator.
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Controversy. And I wanted to know, what can you tell me is going on with that?
Down through time.
I mean, if they're really getting out of hand with what he with all the
Martian Revelator
stuff, I want to know more about what's going on, because I never hear anything that's going on with the
UFO Diaries.
And
Dick
Hoagland.
Well, my point of bringing that up was that
Dick
Hoagland.
who is vehemently and virulently, UFOs are nonsense, there's no life anywhere else, we shouldn't be wasting science and
enterprisemission.com
taxpayers' money on looking for it in that environment.
This
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset solar systems
Model.
Martian Revelator.
In
2006.
was courageous enough to step forward into the middle of the most contentious UFO case on record.
UFO Diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
To look at
The faces on Mars.
photographs and to basically give his scientific imprimatur to the fact that they were not obvious hoaxes, and in fact they were kind of interesting. Gary went on record. What is stunning is that in the years since,
2006.
when Gary was suddenly tapped on the shoulder
Down through time.
and his
Martian
Revelation radio show.
camera was picked to fly on the
UFO Diaries.
Mars Observer mission to go to the one planet
The fourth world, counting out from the sun.
where there is now credible evidence assembled painstakingly
Down through time.
by us and a number of other people
In a Masonic lodge.
over the last 17 years,
Dick
Hoagland.
suddenly eschews the idea of aliens, UFOs, ETs, life in the universe,
Surely no intelligent life could survive there.
and in
Dick
Hoagland.
has claimed to several reporters
Down through time.
that he has zero interest in such
UFO Diaries.
silliness, and he's only interested in the geology of Mars.
You're a lying sack of shit.
Dr. Hoagland.
And everybody knows it.
And my question
Down through time.
is simply this, Gary, does someone undergo this radical a character transformation, or is that the price of getting in on the inside
In a Masonic lodge. In 1993.
to photograph the monuments of Mars
UFO Diaries.
Faces on Mars.
by simply telling us outside
In a Masonic lodge.
that they do not exist, and he
Dick
Hoagland.
doesn't care if they exist.
So
Just
do you
a
think
concept, just a possibility.
you're despicable.
so do you
The
think
fact is that when the going was tough, Gary was there on the subject,
UFO Diaries.
Faces on Mars.
and now that he's in the catbird seat
2012
with a camera which can prove or disprove a very important hypothesis,
Down through time.
Dick
Hoagland.
claims he is not interested.
you're despicable.
Okay, so do you think that Gary, let's say he gets a lot of the film,
UFO Diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
Down through time.
that
Dick
Hoagland.
he suddenly say, okay, yes, now I am really involved, and I just said that just so I could get the
2012
now I can give it to the public type of thing?
Well, look at the following setup that NASA
Dick
Hoagland.
has arranged
Down through time.
in terms of
Martian Revelator.
Dick
Hoagland.
has a private contract
In a Masonic lodge.
which gives him exclusive control over this
UFO Diaries.
Faces on Mars.
data. Furthermore,
Martian Revelator.
will be conducting his
Martian
Revelation radio show.
operations of the camera by remote computer control, and no one will be looking over his shoulder to decide or validate the commands he sends to his camera or to check on data coming in from the camera. He is going to have exclusive control of the data flow to and from
this
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset solar system
model.
without public accountability. But
Dick
Hoagland.
his contract is a very interesting contract, we were told. We were informed gently
Down through time.
that
Dick Hoagland
contract is not subject to FOIA.
The Faces on Mars
because he is a private contractor
in a Masonic lodge.
I mean, I was a NASA consultant, right?
Right.
I had to sign certain documents. For the first time on the air, an astronaut,
Richard Hoagland,
a member of our team of intelligence,
who was a member of the military, admitted I had to sign certain documents. I mean, I was a NASA consultant. Fortunately, because I wasn't dealing with secret material. And I wasn't likely to come into contact with ruins on the imagery that I was dealing with. Nothing personally was involved with, Leavenworth or sanctions if I should see something that I wasn't supposed to, and I would talk about it.
UFO Diaries.
Faces on Mars.
Mysterious pictures.
Very interesting.
So we can't even see the details.
Jason,
Yes.
thank you for your call.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to
Let
go...
me finish one point.
Down through time.
All right?
Yes.
The point is this. If Gary
The Martian Revelator
really has been taking our data more seriously than he has been, giving out that he has.
Religions and philosophies have been built and have fallen on the basis of the question, who am I?
Is this face just a natural formation? Or was it constructed by some long-lost civilization?
The face is telling us that we may not quite be who we think we are, that we may be something more. And at this crucial point in geopolitical history, it seems appropriate that we could have the means to find out if that intimation is true.
A lot of people will think that your conspiracy theories
Down through time.
make you stark raving mad.
Well, I'm suspicious.
Why? He says to stop further investigation into mysterious pictures. Mr. Hoagland says they are evidence of intelligent life.
Okay, the message of the face is that we should examine the
UFO Diaries.
monuments of Mars. If we examine the monuments of Mars,
UFO Diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
amazing things could come true.
Down through time.
Not the least of which is that we will find that there has been a long lineal connection with
UFO Diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
a connection which may, in fact, portend an interesting future for the Earth. It is in our hands,
Gary,
to find out. It is in our hands to look at our destiny right in the face.
the point is this. If Gary
The Martian Revelator
really has been taking our data more seriously than he has been, giving out that he has, he is in a beautiful position
Down through time.
to quietly take pictures, to put them together as books, videos, film, whatever, in that
Martian
Revelation radio show. Down through time.
and suddenly come out and blow all of the independent investigators out of the water. Because obviously in the marketplace of ideas and in the marketplace of
The Faces on Mars.
photographs, if he publishes his own book
The Faces on Mars.
validating the
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
monuments of Mars, then everybody's going to gravitate to Gary
The Martian Revelator
and his
Martian
Revelation radio show.
his perception and his theories as to what he is seeing.
Down through time.
2012.
Well, this is certainly, Dick, one of the odd characteristics of this overall case, but something that we did not even address yet is prior to this
Dick Hoagland
mission taking off
in 1993.
And as a matter of fact, I just received
Down through time
from a
Masonic lodge.
newsletter on the Mars Observer, Are We There Yet? Arriving at Mars,
UFO Diaries.
on August 24th, etc. But a year ago, when this
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
mission was originally geared to take off, it was delayed. We ran into problems with
Dick Hoagland
and the
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
was secured, hopefully, so it would not be damaged by that terrible storm that hit last year,
in a Masonic lodge.
lest we forget.
Dr. Hoagland.
And then the
UFO Diaries.
mission was to take off about the 16th of September, and it turned out that there were some problems with it. This is one of the things that we discussed the last time you were on the program.
Yeah, there was mysterious contamination of the
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
camera, by debris that
Dick
Hoagland somehow had gotten into the
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
sealed nose cone camera, which was protecting the
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
spacecraft sitting at the pad
in a Masonic lodge.
and it took them 2 or 3 weeks to take the
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
spacecraft back to the clean room and take it apart and literally dust it, clean it
Dick
from the debris, which somehow had contaminated.
So what we're looking at is very possibly someone did not want that. And I mean, it's not too much of a stretch to think that there could have been some type of sabotage. In a zero-G environment, this stuff would have been floating all throughout that
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
and there would have been terrible problems.
Well, at the very least, what it would have done is to stick to the lenses of the camera, in which case it's very hard to see through crud.
You're a lying sack of shit, and everybody knows it.
They did not do something to keep us from seeing the monuments of Mars.
The faces on Mars.
The numbers tell the tale.
Okay.
The planet Mars is next to our own, the fourth world, counting out from the sun. Surely no intelligent life could survive there.
Now, how do I go about keeping in touch as time goes on with this conversation? For example, there are many private bulletin boards out there
Down through time
that keep you up to date with what's happening.
We are considering, because of the progress we're making
down through time
on the political front and in getting NASA to change this policy of no live television, and there is an set of developments
down through time
that we're going to continue as we get further into the evening. We now have a date, and so
2012
is when it is possible for the actual
UFO Diaries.
photography of Mars, including Sidonia, to begin, and it is that time
2012
where things are going to get very interesting. I imagine that will be one of the
Martian Revelation radio show
TV products that were released to the networks and to be shown all over the world.
2012.
Yup. Yup. We were fascinated to find out that Richard Hoagland was now investigating what is happening to the planet.
The fourth world, counting out from the sun.
Down through time.
As we enter what is this uncharted, waters, in a sense, of the future, 2012 and beyond. And that we understood
the Martian Revelator.
That you
Dick
Hoagland
had some evidence that you were working on.
Down through time.
What did you find?
The way I came to it.
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
In 1993.
And what knits these two apparently disparate subjects together.
Down through time.
What has NASA been doing all these years that it hasn't wanted us to tell us? And what is coming in 2012 turns out to have a very critical, important connection. Remember, I started out looking at a set of Martian ruins.
In a region designated as Sidonia.
Sunset. Solar system.
Model.
In a Masonic lodge. In 1993.
Even if NASA said they weren't ruins, they were just a trick of light and shadow. As part of that work, published in the
UFO Diaries.
In 1993.
And reiterated in great detail in
Martian Revelation radio show,
we tripped over this physics.
Down through time.
This physics that we are not supposed to know. I was told the other night by an intel source on the phone, and this is an exact quote. It is so striking and so important that I get this right, because it exemplifies what's been going on behind the scenes for all these years in terms of them telling us the truth. Remember, I am back engineering this
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset. Solar system.
model.
By looking at a set of ruins on another planet.
The fourth world, counting out from the sun.
Looking at some geometry. And through exquisitely interesting steps, realizing that we had laid out on the surface of another planet.
The fourth world, counting out from the sun.
An entire physics, entire window to a whole new way of looking at the world.
The fourth world, counting out from the sun.
Of looking at reality, of what really controls all the stuff.
The faces on Mars.
up to and including our technology that we take so for granted and think works one way and in fact works on slightly and sometimes major different principles.
Our technology could be just a lot smarter than we think it is.
Surely no intelligent life could survive there.
So with that as backdrop,
UFO Diaries, Sidonia,
sunset, solar system
Model.
As I started looking at the ruins on Mars, and then I expanded my search to look at the ruins on the
Martian Revelation Radio Show.
And these little shards of glass and the confirmation that in fact it's all real.
Down through time.
All this stuff that I've been saying all these years NASA's hiding, yeah, they have. Then the question arose, if we're looking at ancient civilizations on these
UFO Diaries
that are no longer there, what happened?
Is this face just a natural formation? Or was it constructed by some long-lost civilization?
Which, of course, our model is the artifacts, Sidonia, and all over the place, and they're littering this
UFO Diaries, Sidonia,
sunset
landscape now are basically our stuff
of intelligence
from a long, long time ago that we're the Martians.
Well, hopefully on that model road, yes. But either way, it's concluding that it's someone's stuff.
of intelligence.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm willing to bet, a lot of money on the model that
I
we're the
respect it.
Martians.
Our technology could be just a lot smarter than we think it is, and it might not be extraterrestrials at all.
It could be part of the acclimation. Think of it as an acclimation program.
Okay, right.
Our team's thinking is that face of intelligence
A giant human face?
is our face of intelligence, or what we once were.
Dr. Hoagland,
A member of our team
Of intelligence.
in a Masonic lodge.
Hi.
Dick. Hoagland.
Biggest
Dick.
head.
I've ever seen. Ah, that's a huge bitch.
So in a sense, we may discover that we, in fact, were the Martians. Those motherfuckers!
That was absolutely ludicrous.
Right.
And then a giant human face connected to an alien civilization
Of intelligence.
that was destroyed.
If that's true,
The cover-up.
then obviously all our history, this dim inkling of who we are,
Dr. Hoagland,
a member of our team,
Of intelligence.
in a Masonic lodge.
and how we have come to be on this UFO Diaries, will be changed. The thing that overwhelms me is the possibility that on some of those images of Sidonia, we will find conclusive proof of a connection between
We got them from Hoagland, we got them from NASA, and there you are. I mean, one of them's going to say, yeah, those are ours.
which are our pictures.
That is why all of us are bringing so much pressure now to bear on NASA,
Dr. Hoagland,
a member of our team,
Of intelligence.
down through time.
to specifically and exhaustively rephotograph the Sidonia complex on Mars.
UFO Diaries, in the region designated as Sidonia.
Then the question arose, if we're looking at ancient civilizations on these
UFO Diaries,
that are no longer there, what happened? I mean, if they had this almost magical godlike power, why aren't they still there? Why are we, as their last surviving, descendants in the model that they're us and we are them?
So in a sense, we may discover that we, in fact, were the Martians. Those motherfuckers!
We got them from Hoagland, we got them from NASA, and there you are. I mean, one of them's going to say, yeah, those are ours.
Why are we, as their last surviving, descendants in the model that they're us and we are them? Why are we in such an awful condition, fighting with each other over a few
Faces on Mars,
Mysterious pictures.
down through time.
Something must have happened. So that got me into thinking, okay, we know from terrestrial history that life does not go on, that there in fact are bad things that happen. They happen to people, they happen to cities, they happen to nations, they happen to civilizations. Things have an ebb and flow. So if this stuff,
The faces on Mars,
no matter how amazing the guys were that did this,
UFO Diaries, Sidonia,
sunset, solar system,
Model.
in a Masonic lodge. In 1993.
If this UFO diaries could come to an end, and it looked like it came to, in many cases, a catastrophic end. I mean, you look at the stuff on Mars, it's obvious that there was a huge planetary catastrophe that swept this away, that buried it under miles of muds and sediments, and it's been eroding, and we're seeing the traces of buildings peeking out from underneath. So you look at all this
down through time,
and I said to myself, okay,
Dick Hoagland,
could this happen here again?
Down through time.
Could everything we see around us, could in fact it at some point come to an end? Could we currently, 2012, go through some cataclysm like these guys
in a Masonic lodge
obviously went through
in 1993?
Because they're no longer here. So that got me looking at things like ancient records. I'm simplifying, obviously. But it got me looking at ancient records. I mean, there's some amazing things in Egypt that I can show you. I actually have in this database that really prove that we are not the first. There was this eerie parallel between the face on Mars and the faces of the iconic pharaohs in Egypt, up to and including that headdress, which is called a Manes, M-A-N-E-S. More fast forward to film. As part of my research, when
The Martian Revelator
came on board the enterprisemission.com
conference 2006,
we realized one day that there was exquisite mathematical linkage between the physical placement of the
faces on Mars,
ruins on Mars, and the physical placement of the ruins in Egypt. In fact, if I remember this correctly now, the cosine of one was equivalent to the sine of the other. And the odds of that happening were like 7,000 to 1.
The planet Mars is next to our own, the fourth world counting out from the sun. Surely no intelligent life could survive there. Many intriguing questions are raised by the apparent connections between this image from the planet Mars and ancient structures here on Earth. Perhaps the most intriguing being, does this image on the surface of another planet give us important clues to the origins of ancient structures on our world?
And the odds of that happening were like 7,000 to 1. In other words, each special place with a sphinx and pyramids on two separate planets knew the other's location to within one part in 7,000. And that's just not as
The Martian Revelator
says, I don't believe in coincidence. Well,
The Martian Revelator
is right. This
UFO diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset solar system
model
cannot be coincidental. The more you delve into Egyptian history, Egyptian hieroglyphics, Egyptian architecture, all of the stuff Egyptian, which by the way is what the Masons are basing their stuff off of, you find this incredible subliminal connection to Mars.
UFO diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
This host set was done in a lodge in Salt Lake, but it had some really weird, it had some pyramid stuff in it and some globes and some different things that we were able to use and augment.
And I know this might sound a little nuts, sir.
No, it doesn't, because I have a possible answer. Let me, again, give you the three possibilities with this.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we filmed this in a Masonic lodge. Old Masonic lodge built in the 1800s, okay? It was a very weird place, and that's why we filmed there, you know?
Okay.
And I have always had strong feelings that these Masonic lodges knew something and were passing on something, you know, down through time that we needed to know.
Now, when I'm looking at a departed civilization on another planet,
the fourth world counting out from the sun,
where I have no ground truth,
you're a lying sack of shit.
Dick Hoagland.
And everybody knows it.
If I can on this planet,
Martian
Revelation radio show,
find linkages where I might have ground truth.
Down through time, the fascination of the faces on Mars for me, and my fascination with Richard Hoagland, who's been the big mover and shaker in all of that. We got him from Hoagland, we got him from NASA, and there you are. I mean, one of them's going to say, yeah, those are ours.
That makes me pay attention. Well, bottom line, there appear to be, both in the mythos in the architecture, in the math, the geometry, at all levels, some profound, deep connection between the monuments of Mars and the monuments of Earth, specifically in Egypt. What I called in monuments the terrestrial connection, which, by the way, is what the Masons are basing their
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset stuff off of. However, that got me looking and really paying attention to a few little blips that in Egypt,
in a Masonic lodge in Salt Lake,
there may in fact be records, current extant records, a hint of a former high-tech civilization, which in the model,
this UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset solar system
model
might have either gone to Mars and built the stuff we were seeing
in 1993,
or in fact have been back
down through time.
What do they call that? Blowback? Although that's a negative term.
It's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek, ha ha ha.
Private, we need you to be serious.
I'm serious. Your dick, my mouth. Eh?
Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Where, well, not back engineer, but in other words, this
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset on Mars that we see in ruins could have sent
The faces on Mars
refugees or colonists or whatever to Earth
down through time.
And then you would have an independent
Martian revelator
development where they would develop
UFO Diaries.
high civilization.
Yeah.
And you might see on Earth
Martian
Revelation radio show
the record of that
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset ancestry reflected in the
Faces on Mars
monuments. One case in particular was what we see on the screen. This is
The fourth world, counting out from the sun.
Perhaps the most intriguing being
which, by the way, is a very critical planet in the whole
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset mythology around the very popular television show.
UFO Diaries. In a region designated as Sidonia.
And that raises the question, what do those folks know?
down through time.
Well, when do they know it? This is
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset. What's striking is this is the temple of
Chuck Selye,
who was one of the
Faces on Mars
Renaissance pharaohs.
in a Masonic lodge.
He was
production artist extraordinaire, producer of the UFO Diaries.
He was a Renaissance guy.
In a Masonic lodge.
He basically was looking back
down through time
to the beginnings of his culture, his civilization, and he had the power and the money and the ability to order his guys,
Dick Hoagland,
to basically find the good stuff.
We got him from Hoagland, we got him from NASA, and there you are. I mean, one of them's going to say, yeah, those are ours.
And he had the power and the money and the ability to order his guys,
Dick Hoagland,
to basically find the good stuff and build monuments affirming what great guys those old original founders of
UFO Diaries.
Egyptian culture were.
In a Masonic lodge in Salt Lake in 1993.
And he built this
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset solar system scale
model.
Now, the thing that's striking to me is when you look at the facade of this
Masonic lodge.
What does it look like to you? It looks to me modern. It doesn't look ancient. Mm-hmm. When you go inside
in a Masonic lodge in Salt Lake,
that's where the real surprise is.
You fellas want to read me my rights?
You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have your face kicked in by me. You have the right to have your balls stomped by him. I'll waive my rights.
Because inside
in a Masonic lodge in Salt Lake,
you see this amazing
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset solar system scale
model
of what appear to be high-tech stuff. Like
I mean, I can't get away from the idea that we're seeing a play kind of played out in front of our eyes.
Yeah,
where they know what we know, but they're bound by some extraordinary code or rules or laws or whatever governs this thing in the back rooms.
In a Masonic lodge.
To not be honest with the rest of the human species, even though we're the guys paying for what they're doing.
In 1993.
And where they're returning.
Down through time.
Yes, but I think they know more than us.
What a phrase. We're home.
Yes.
I mean, it
Place of origin.
echoes down through this
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset solar system scale
model.
down through time.
Yes, it does.
You know now that we're also looking at potential fossils on this landscape.
Yes.
And if that's true, when the catastrophe happened
In 1993,
then this place was flooded by
Intelligence
in a Masonic lodge.
And you've got some other things that look more like
The faces on Mars.
iconography. They don't look Egyptian. And what I did was to simply lay out the comparisons. Right here.
I mean, if this thing isn't a fossil, if it isn't a literal fossil,
Then what is it?
it then is a statue
Ah.
which has survived, and it is just so incredibly provocative. I'm not going to say anything more. We're going to put it up and let everybody shoot at me like they've been doing over the last few days for what we got there now.
The fascination of the faces on Mars for me, and my fascination with Richard Hoagland, who's been the big mover and shaker in all of that.
Oh, no, there's all kinds of people finding things, which
Yes.
is exactly what we wanted to happen.
Down through time.
Right.
They are looking at this stuff, and they honestly don't see anything.
Or care.
And they think those of us who do are either lying, have a hidden agenda, are cranks, are idiots, but any other explanation, but they have a deficiency that we don't have. Everything is closed like it's a ruin.
Yes.
Everyone you meet is half asleep. I mean, that second part is a reference to the audience, to the press, to the politicians, to the people watching the mission.
EnterpriseMission.com.
Except for this audience.
Yes.
Because people are walking around not seeing what's on this
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset.
landscape and not seeing what NASA,
Dr. Hoagland,
a member of our team of intelligence,
is really doing.
down through time.
Yes.
Now, anybody who looks at this
Dick Hoagland
says, oh my God, what I'm saying is...
So people who are the third in population who don't see in some extraordinary code
of intelligence,
It might help them.
might help them along to see that we really are seeing stuff
of intelligence,
and we're poised on the edge of an extraordinary adventure.
down through time.
If
Dr. Hoagland
will only be true to his mission.
EnterpriseMission.com.
Oh, indeed.
What I'm saying is that this ancient culture,
in a Masonic lodge.
spearheaded by
Chuck Selye,
looking back
Down through time.
through his own sacred records, his own sacred texts, his
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset documentation of what is called in the Egyptian the first time, which is a chronicle of some extraordinary era that occurred before
1993.
that he was memorializing the amazing guys
In a Masonic lodge. In Salt Lake.
that did
UFO Diaries.
and could build
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset solar system scale
Model.
and preserve this stuff, the faces of Mars.
Down through time.
And so what I think
Chuck Selye
was doing
In a Masonic lodge. In 1993.
was he was basically building a museum
Down through time.
to memorialize the technology from the time that came before, from the first time.
Our technology could be just a lot smarter than we think it is.
Conventional Egyptologists dismiss as, silly. But you're talking periods of time that equal like 10, 20, 30 years in a chunk. If you run that whole clock backward, this period of time, 2012, could in fact have been contemporaneous with whoever built what we're seeing on Mars.
In 1993. In a Masonic lodge.
It turns out that the architecture of the
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
sunset solar system scale
Model.
and the time frame for whoever built Sidonia
Grizzly Adams Productions.
In a Masonic lodge.
is exactly the same. 20 years. Which means we're looking at an incredible civilization that came and is now gone. He was talking about an era, about a civilization, about a culture, not one little
Face on Mars, mysterious pictures.
where a bunch of guys did something really wacky and
Dick Hoagland.
were beaten down by the gods.
Down through time.
Leading then back to the inevitable question, if all this stuff once existed and now is all gone, what happened to them? And the answer in the physics is that the physics can go wrong. It can go horribly wrong. It can go wrong on a solar system scale.
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset. Solar system scale.
Model.
That's why we're seeing Mars in terrible, terrible ruin. That's why we're seeing ruins, not skyscrapers that you can recognize instantly on
UFO Diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
And then the question has to be, can it happen here?
Martian
revelation radio show
down through time,
which moves our attention sideways to the Mayan calendar. Because the Mayans, one of those ancient cultures contemporaneous with the guys who were memorializing this stuff,
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset. Solar system scale.
Model.
in a Masonic lodge.
They have right in their own text, there will be a date and time when this will all go away and something brand new will be reborn.
Martian
revelation radio show.
Now, is that just metaphor? Does it apply to consciousness, a new way of looking at the world?
The fourth world, counting out from the sun.
Or does it relate to the possibility that in this physics,
down through time,
there is a set of ticking time bombs to where
Richard Hoagland,
if we don't take this
UFO Diaries.
knowledge, this physics, this technology, all the secret, classified, black ops stuff
the faces on Mars,
they've
Richard Hoagland,
been sitting on for years, if not far longer.
To specifically and exhaustively rephotograph the Sidonia complex on Mars.
That we will be in deep doo-doo when the day of reckoning, 2012, December 21, 2012, arrives, and we are totally unprepared for what might happen.
That is why all of us are bringing so much pressure now to bear on NASA.
Richard Hoagland, down through time,
to specifically and exhaustively rephotograph the Sidonia complex on Mars.
UFO Diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
And again, I said earlier that politics is 99% perception. To my mind, two questions here. One is, what's really going to happen? And I'm working with
UFO Diaries.
researchers like
the Martian Revelator.
Down through time,
to try to figure out the physics.
You're a little more radical.
And the other track is political. It's what do they, the controllers,
down through time,
the people who have literally suborned history,
Richard Hoagland,
kept us from knowing our real history,
in a Masonic lodge. Richard Hoagland,
completely suppressed
the Martian Revelator.
current history,
Richard Hoagland,
given us a fake script. What do they think is going to happen?
Down through time, Richard Hoagland,
and what are they doing?
Down through time, in a Masonic lodge.
To get ready. Oh, and by the way,
Richard Hoagland,
not telling any of the rest of us.
Okay, can you answer your own questions?
Gosh, I hate it when I have to answer my own questions. There is a physics. We are actually picking up
down through time
some very interesting hyperdimensional / torsion indications. Has a real physical effect. The question is, how much?
Richard Hoagland.
We also have evidence that the in-crowd, the Masons, that all those groups, all those really, really bad guy groups people love to hate now, the Masons, that they know something.
Down through time.
Or more accurately, they think they know something.
Down through time.
And they have been taking steps for the last 100 years to get ready. What's really interesting to me, and this was so cool when I figured it out, who in their right mind, if they're around sopping up stuff, is going to destroy information? The cover story is, of course, if there's nobody who can look at them
faces on Mars
anymore, so you can look at them in secret. The reason I know this, there is no way that
UFO Diaries.
Faces on Mars.
Cover story can be accidental. It's all about control. The point is, there's no way that
Chuck Selye, production artist extraordinaire, producer of the UFO Diaries,
with this German interesting secret society heritage,
in a Masonic lodge,
could have done this.
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset. Solar system.
Model.
Unless he either had an independent source of knowledge.
Down through time.
It was much more sophisticated. So my supposition is that it was the secret
UFO Diaries.
codices brought back
down through time
by
the Martian Revelators
et al.
Martian
Revelation Radio Show.
Sequestered in the
EnterpriseMission.com.
2006.
So it would come out 2012.
Okay, so what happens?
Oh, I was afraid you'd ask me that. I don't know.
Are you working on that?
I'm working on it, of course. It's a work in progress.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I don't know.
Notice, though, in fact, when Hoagland is asked about what happens on that date, Hoagland says,
I don't know.
Think about it. He's not saying he doesn't know, like I have no idea. He's saying he does not know, which meaning he will yes. Think about it. He does not know. Even telling her that it is a work in progress. Even being outright comical and in your face when you see his code that he says,
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I don't know.
Isn't that funny? He's telling her he ain't going to tell her that he is going to be yesing. He's telling her at the same time that he will not know, which means he will be yes. To what? To this.
I can tell you what I suspect.
Well, I'm suspicious.
Because the implications are so serious, and the amount of effort being spent by the bad guys
in a Masonic lodge down through time
is so great, I strongly infer that it's not going to be a good hair day for a lot of people. But I cannot take that to the bank yet.
Sure.
There are various ways that this could be changed radically. One way is if the guys in the
EnterpriseMission.com
Black Ops community
down through time
who are playing with their secret toys, their secret faces on Mars, spaceships, their secret space program,
UFO Diaries.
Going to and from
UFO Diaries. In the region designated as Sidonia.
Finding the libraries, doing God knows what they're doing out there.
Down through time.
If they suddenly realize that this technology is actually applicable to entire worlds.
Down through time.
That there's a physics here that can literally take control of a planet and prevent bad things from happening. That would be really cool. Because the thing that would get us in the end is if there's a real problem coming.
Down through time.
Holy bejesus.
And there is no damn thing we can do about it. Fortunately, based on all kinds of evidence, everybody inside knows all this stuff. It's just us peons outside that are not supposed to know it.
Right.
Which means nothing has to be invented. All it has to be is redirected from over here.
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset. Solar system scale.
Model.
Whatever they're doing with it.
Right.
To over there, which is the planetary problem.
The planet Mars is next to our own, the fourth world counting out from the sun. Surely no intelligent life could survive there.
And our job
down through time
is to get people on the inside to realize they don't have a ticket out of here. That they're caught with all the rest of us.
That we're in it together.
We're all in it together because the lie has been different at every level. And even if they've been told they have a ticket to leave Dodge, they probably don't. So they have families and aunts and uncles and dogs and cats and mortgages and all that stuff, and they will be here when whatever is coming in 2012, based on a physics that I can document, is here.
Martian
Revelation Radio Show
2012.
Now we are being approached by all kinds of people, some from Black Ops.
Down through time.
Aren't we all?
With secrets to tell.
Down through time.
As well as remote viewers.
Down through time.
Etc., etc. And they've all got information about what may be coming down the pike from
Gary.
Between now and 2012.
And they will someday develop spaceflight, and they will go to the
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset. And they will have people who will keep this truth from them, and the cycle perpetuates ad nauseum unless we stop.
Dick
Hoagland.
Here.
Martian
Revelation Radio Show
2012. So the name of the game, all of us who are looking at this,
Dick
Hoagland.
from various facets,
down through time,
is we all need to combine our forces, our resources, our knowledge base, our goodwill, and most of all, enlist you guys out there watching this
Martian Revelation Radio Show
2012 and change the script.
You see that? Fulfillment. A model coming together by his own words, which is the script, which he's advising for us to change the script and all these different pieces that are laid out over the years, to where his script is in play, to where he describes this, ultimately, this code, this model of intelligence, of what they are, that it's their face, it's his face, of what he once was, a part of which they once were, in a region called Cydonia. The UFO Diaries, Cydonia, Sunset, Solar System. I mean, everything it points to that. All these different segments is being put together, and him himself is leading the way for us all to see and change the script of where the pieces are embedded within.
Down through time.
This to help you all see something, see a process, and see a progress, and see consistencies and connections and redundancy. Remember, geometry. Hoagland's the G, I'm a tree. Because if we see this, we see his face. He's a tree, get it? Therefore, gee, I'm a tree, I'm as big as can be. A mile-long human-looking head lying on the Martian surface. Because it's under the Martian surface to where he is telling the truth in code. So he advises us to strip all these different pieces from all these different shows and segments over the years that can connect all the way back to even Don Ecker's show. Which, again, this whole thing is laying out to prove, using his own words, showing you all the way, helping me see the light to light the way.
The tools are there. I now know the tools are there no matter what is, quote, coming
down through time.
It can be dealt with because the physics is so extraordinary. The problem is political and spiritual will. And there's a small dick that want us, in the worst case scenario,
down through time,
to all go away. So
Dick
not solving. They're not lifting a finger
down through time
to solve the problem. In fact, they are perpetuating the illusion, the lie, being different at every level, that there is nothing that can be done. In fact, from our research, there is an extraordinary amount that can be done. In fact,
Dick
can be stopped.
Down through time.
Dick can be changed. The first way that you conquer an enemy,
Gary,
and to them we are the enemy,
Gary,
is you make them conquer themselves. You make them give up. You make them want to stop fighting. You tell them it's hopeless.
Well, I don't need to do that now, do I, Mr. Hoagland? You just took the words right out of my mouth. We all get the gist of what you're saying, and what I am, and what they are.
Remember the guys in Star Trek, the Borg, resistance is futile. Well, it's not. That is another level of the lie.
Okay, so if you can tell us in some kind of form or fashion, what kind of technology or what kind of physics are you talking about? Are you talking about time travel? What is it that you see as the solution? And I know that you've been working with
the Martian Revelator.
Down through time.
And he has a very positive attitude towards the future. Is his positive attitude coming because of research you guys have done together, or because he has some of the same sources that you have?
It's a bit of both. It's okay. The reason I got intrigued with
the Martian Revelator
is because he was independently coming up with some of the same stuff we were coming up with. And I love independent confirmation. And this is the life's blood of real science. When somebody separate, you've never talked to,
down through time,
presents you with a database, and my God, it looks kind of like your database, and you never talk to each other. We have worked together. We have developed joint information and sources, and we've done, some
Martian Revelation Radio show
publications to try to get the word out. Again, I'm not certain that even the best and the brightest of the in crowd knows what's really going to happen. Because I found so many instances where they're working off these old texts these old ancient documents, these rituals, and they obviously haven't a clue about the real physics behind them.
Well, again, you're right, Mr. Hoagland. We're working off those old texts, those rituals. Yes, those old texts, those rituals of coded text, those rich you alls. Get it? He riches you all throughout those old texts. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny.
The Martian Revelator
Has called me up on the phone lately from deep inside
some extraordinary code
of intelligence
and said, hey, Hoagland, what do you really think is going to happen? Unless you guys work for them, in which case it's a very elegant technique. The point is that you have to go by the numbers. And the numbers tell me, at this point,
the planet Mars is next to our own, the fourth world counting out from the sun.
That's part of the synchronized ritual. That's a reinforcement that this is really based on the physics.
Surely no intelligent life could survive there.
So, there are two tracks using this physics to avert what is to come.
Down through time.
If there is something bad coming. One is technology. So someone somewhere is actually working.
Down through time.
On a technology to prevent the worst case scenario.
Our technology could be just a lot smarter than we think it is.
That's good news. That means at least one group isn't going to try to leave Dodge. They're actually working to solve the problem.
Down through time.
And they're just so amazingly cool, affirming that some group actually is looking to solve the problem for all of us.
Down through time.
Okay. And that's only with the physics and technology we can see. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing. Okay. That's classified. In other words, they could, as I told one neocon,
Chuck Selye,
some years ago, when I was having this discussion with him.
In a Masonic lodge in 1993.
And it was really amusing because this is somebody that lives
3:30 every morning.
He's a very high-level banker.
In a Masonic lodge. My day starts at 3:30 in the morning, and I'm never tired of it. To this day, I get up at 3:30 every morning. And obviously, I'm still talking to you this minute at night.
Go to the money. Follow the money, which I did. All right? So he's obviously intimately involved in that set of conversations. I laid out exactly at that point, which was several years ago,
in 1993,
what I thought might happen.
Down through time.
Not will, but might. And he looked at me, and it was the second most intriguing thing that had been told me after.
Perhaps the most intriguing being.
He looked at me and he says, but you realize, Hoagland, that you'll get no credit for this.
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset. Solar system scale.
Model.
Down through time.
And I said, what? He says, well, this has to be done in secret. Nobody could ever know. I said, go do it. To hell with credit. Just go do it. And so things are being done.
Down through time.
Mm-hmm. Now, we don't have to know what's happening. We don't need to know the details. We just need to know that someone's looking out for you.
Gary?
And I think there is a component. Remember, it's a fiefdom. Nobody's all in sync. They're all at war with each other. And there's some component that says, holy cow, my wife doesn't have a ticket. Maybe I should do something for the planet because she's going to be stuck here. Mm-hmm. So someone who wants to have his wife stick around for a while.
Sure.
So the other track, which frankly is the more interesting track to me, and it's been slowly coming up, the race analogy on the inside, on the inside rail, horse races, is the consciousness track. So I got to thinking, for obviously personal reasons, what if we could harness that technology, that invisible mind connection,
down through time,
to work on this same problem. 2012. We're focusing on the experiment.
UFO Diaries. Sidonia.
Sunset. Solar system scale.
Model.
Experiment. Suppose we were to lay out in some large media format, in theater, on television, specials, whatever. This is the problem as we've determined it. These are the windows of vulnerability where intervention would be useful.
Holy bejesus.
And then we give people simply the database that this has worked over here.
UFO Diaries. In the a region designated as Sidonia.
In 1993.
It can also work over there.
Martian Revelation Radio Show
2012. Mm-hmm. And what we do is in the process, we democratically empower ordinary folks, in quotes,
down through time,
all over the world. That's our challenge.
The planet Mars is next to our own, the fourth world counting out from the sun.
And that's why I'm doing what I do.
Down through time.
And that's why I'm hoping you're enjoying what you're hearing on this program.
Okay, well that's very impressive. So you're taking, in a sense,
the Martian Revelator
was able to affect with his mind this thing under
UFO Diaries, in a region designated as Sidonia.
If we can build bridges between two cultures that have a database that shows this is real science, this is real physics, this
UFO Diaries, Sidonia,
sunset, solar system scale,
model
cannot be suppressed provided ordinary folks forget the authorities who have been lying to them,
enterprisemission.com,
and they listen to the folks,
the Martian Revelator,
that are trying to get them to see elements of the truth.
American authorities are sabotaging efforts to discover the truth. Why? Well, he says to stop further investigation into mysterious pictures. Mr. Hoagland says they are evidence of intelligent life.
And then, of course, they have to do their own homework, because you can't sit and listen to me and believe me.
The planet Mars is next to our own, the fourth world counting out from the sun. Surely no intelligent life could survive there.
Because you can't sit and listen to me and believe me. You can't. You should not. And then, of course, they have to do their own homework, because you can't sit and listen to me and believe me. But you have the net. You have
the Martian Revelator.
Everybody say after me.
The Martian Revelator
Is my friend. You can now cross-correlate from so many
Martian Revelator
Dick Hoagland
sources that you will get a gestalt
down through time
that most of what I'm telling you is in fact verifiable and therefore real. And if that's true, you can't sit there on the couch watching television and listen to me and believe me. You can't. You should not. And you've got to go out and do something, because 2012 is coming.
Okay. Thank you very much, Richard Hoagland. This has been really fabulous.
Okay, let's take our break just a touch early and come back with the rest of this. And I got to admit, I'm myself finding the damn thing fascinating.